All right, welcome back. Today, in this explainer, we're diving into the epic, incredibly cinematic, and profoundly divine origins of the Tirumala Venkateswara Temple. Nestled on the seven hills of Andhra Pradesh, this place isn't just an ancient structure made of stone and gold, it is literally the absolute center of faith for millions of people. But how exactly did it come to be? Well, we're going to trace the fascinating story, drawn directly from our sources, that explains how the Supreme Lord descended from heaven to take up residence right here on Earth.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You really have to ask yourself, what on earth could possibly force a supreme deity, someone residing in absolute cosmic peace, to endure actual human suffering? I'm talking hunger, thirst, and even physical pain. It's a complete mystery, but it sets the stage for everything we're going to cover today. The journey from the celestial realm of Vaikuntha down to an earthly anthill in the middle of a forest is just packed with drama, massive egos, and ultimately a supreme sacrifice.
So to really get this story, we first have to understand who exactly we are talking about here. Lord Venkateswara, also affectionately known as Balaji, Srinivasa, or Govinda, is referred to in the scriptures as Kali Yuga Prachaksha Daivam. And what that means is he isn't viewed as just some stone idol. No, he is considered the living, visible God of our current age, the Kali Yuga. The core belief is that he is actively present on Earth specifically to help humanity navigate its troubles. But why did he come down here in the first place?
Chapter 1. The Test of the Gods.
It all kicks off with this massive yajna, a grand fire ritual that these sages were conducting for the welfare of the whole world. Naturally, the sages wanted to know who among the Holy Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva, was the most supreme and the most peaceful, so they could dedicate this huge ritual to him. To figure it out, they send the highly learned, but let's be honest, slightly hot-tempered Maharishi Bhrigu to test them. And spoiler alert, it did not go smoothly. First, Bhrigu drops in on Lord Brahma, who is deep in discussion and just completely ignores him. Next up is Lord Shiva, who is in a private conversation with Goddess Parvati. Shiva gets so incredibly angry at the interruption, he almost opens his destructive third eye. So by the time Bhrigu finally reaches Vaikuntha, his ego and his anger are just completely boiling over. And there is Lord Vishnu, peacefully resting in a deep cosmic slumber.
And then, the absolute unthinkable happens. Furious at being ignored yet again, Maharishi Bhrigu literally steps right up and kicks Lord Vishnu directly in the chest. I mean, no way, right? You'd totally expect the creator of the universe to strike him down instantly for that, but instead, Vishnu wakes up, immediately bows to the sage, and actually begins washing and massaging Bhrigu's feet. He gently asks, "My chest is hard, but your feet are soft. Did you hurt yourself?" This unbelievable, total act of humility instantly crushed the sage's ego, proving once and for all that Vishnu was indeed the most supreme and peaceful.
But here's the catch. While the test was won, a massive divine conflict was literally just beginning. You see, Lord Vishnu's chest wasn't just a part of his body. It was the divine, personal residence of Goddess Lakshmi. For someone to kick her home, and for her husband to then wash the attacker's feet, that was an immense, unforgivable insult to her honor. Deeply hurt and absolutely furious, she declared she could not stay where her honor was not protected. She completely abandoned Vaikuntha on the spot, heading straight down to Earth to perform severe penance.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, Life in the Seshachalam Hills.
So without Lakshmi, the celestial realm just totally lost all its wealth and splendor. Unable to bear the separation, a heartbroken Vishnu abandons heaven too. Now down on Earth, he takes shelter inside a literal anthill in the deep forests of Tirumala. And because he took a human form, he actually started experiencing real human suffering, intense hunger and thirst. Watching him suffer like this, the other gods secretly intervened with a massive, coordinated divine disguise. Lord Brahma turned into a beautiful cow, Lord Shiva became her calf, and Surya, the sun god, became a cowherd. The local Chola king ended up buying this extraordinary cow, totally unaware that every single day out in the forest, she was secretly emptying all her milk directly into the anthill to feed the fasting Lord Srinivasa.
But, secrets rarely stay hidden for long. The queen eventually noticed the cow was coming back completely dry every day. She ordered a cowherd to investigate. Well, when this cowherd secretly followed the cow and saw her pouring her milk into an anthill, he just flew into a rage, thinking the cow was wasting it. He threw a heavy axe right at the cow's head. But Lord Srinivasa instantly emerged from the anthill and actually took the bloody blow to his own head just to protect the divine cow.
When the Chola king arrived at this horrifying scene, Srinivasa told him that a king is ultimately responsible for the sins of his servants, and boom, cursed the king to become a wandering ghost.
Now, bleeding and in a lot of pain, Srinivasa wandered to forests looking for healing herbs, eventually running into Varaha Swami, which is another avatar of Vishnu who already resided in those hills. Srinivasa asked for just a small piece of land to stay and recover. Varaha Swami agreed, but on one eternal condition, something we now call the first visit rule. To this very day, literally any devotee making the pilgrimage to Tirumala must first visit the temple of Varaha Swami before they are even allowed to see Lord Venkateshwara. It's basically an ancient real estate deal that is still dictating modern pilgrimage routes today.
Moving on to Chapter 3, Love and Divine Prophecy.
While Srinivasa is recovering in an ashram with his foster mother, Vakala Devi, our story shifts into its next big phase. First, the local ruler, Akasha Raja, is plowing a field and discovers a miraculous baby girl resting right inside 1,000-petaled golden lotus. He names her Padmavati. Fast forward years later, Lord Srinivasa is out hunting in the forest and ends up saving Princess Padmavati and her friends from a wild elephant. Their eyes meet, and it's this instant, overwhelming recognition because it turns out Padmavati is actually an avatar of Goddess Lakshmi. Returning home, Srinivasa is so incredibly lovesick that he completely gives up food and water. Just totally fasting, out of pure love.
Desperate, he begs his foster mother to go to the palace with a marriage proposal. But he knows the reality, right? A poor forest dweller asking to marry a royal princess? The king would almost certainly reject it. So Srinivasa gets creative. He literally disguises himself as a female fortune teller. He sneaks into the royal palace and tells the queen that her daughter is absolutely destined to marry a divine forest dweller who is actually Lord Vishnu himself. It's brilliant. By the time his mother arrived with the official proposal, the royals were already totally convinced it was divine destiny.
Chapter 4, The Great Celestial Debt.
So, the wedding was agreed upon, which is great, but that immediately introduced a massive problem. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the issue. 1 crore 14 lakh gold coins. That's over 11 million gold coins. Lord Srinivasa had abandoned all his celestial wealth. He was completely broke. To fund a wedding actually worthy of a princess, he had to call upon Kubera, the treasurer of the gods. But Kubera is a notoriously strict accountant. He didn't just hand over the cash, he made the Supreme Lord sign a literal divine promissory note for this exact, staggering amount of gold.
And here is where this epic ancient text powerfully anchors right into our modern world. Srinivasa promised Kubera that he would repay the interest on this massive loan until the very end of the Kali Yuga. This right here is the origin of the hundi, or the huge donation box at Tirupati. The millions of devotees who visit the temple and donate immense wealth, gold, and jewelry today, they are essentially helping the Lord pay off the eternal interest of his celestial wedding loan. Mind-blowing, right?
Which brings us to our final act, Chapter 5, Transformation into Stone.
So, the wedding happened. It was incredibly grand, attended by all the gods. Even the cursed Chola king was finally freed from his ghostly state by presenting a golden crown to the Lord. But hey, the story doesn't just end with a simple happily ever after. Remember Goddess Lakshmi, the one doing severe penance far away in Kolhapur? Well, about 6 months after the wedding, the mischievous sage Narada pays her a visit and just casually drops the fact that her husband had married a beautiful princess named Padmavati. Oh boy. This led to the ultimate confrontation. Absolutely furious, Lakshmi rushes straight to Tirumala and fiercely confronts both Srinivasa and Padmavati, demanding to know how he could possibly marry again. A massive divine argument breaks out between the two goddesses right then and there. Seeing all this tension, and knowing deep down that humanity in the turbulent Kali Yuga would desperately need a stable, ever-present deity to anchor their faith, Lord Srinivasa made the ultimate sacrifice. He just stepped back, closed his eyes, and transformed himself into a solid stone statue. Seeing this, both goddesses' anger instantly just melted into pure sorrow. Realizing it was his divine play to remain accessible to humanity forever, they both took their eternal places right upon him. Goddess Lakshmi, known as Sri Devi, resides on his left chest, and Goddess Padmavati or Bhudevi resides on his right. If you visit the temple today, you can clearly see the golden replicas of both goddesses resting right there on his chest.
It's just an absolutely incredible saga, isn't it? One that literally bridges the heavens and the earth. From a sage's arrogant kick to an eternal cosmic debt, to the Supreme Lord actually turning himself into stone just to remain close to us. The Tirupati Temple is renowned worldwide for its staggering wealth and those legendary long lines of devotees. But I have to ask, the next time you hear about it, will you remember the profound divine sacrifice and the incredible human-like suffering that started it